Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 2021 Yale University Joint Military Commissioning Ceremony. We are gathered here today to continue a tradition rooted in military history and custom. Today, we celebrate these young men and women joining the ranks of those in our armed forces who have commissioned before them. We would like to thank all of you gathered here today for supporting these new officers and joining us for this momentous occasion. There are several moments in this ceremony when it is appropriate to stand for the arrival of the official party, the national anthem, the invocation, and the departure of the official party. We ask that you now silence all electronic devices. The ceremony will begin shortly. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the national anthem and invocation. Colonel George R. Granholm, United States Air Force Commander, Air Force ROTC Detachment 9, Yale University. Captain Ronald L. Withrow, United States Navy, Commanding Officer, Naval ROTC, Yale University. Today's honored guest and keynote speaker, President Salovey, President of Yale University. Scott A. Strobel, Provost of Yale University. Kimberly M. Goff Cruz, Secretary and Vice President for Student Life, Yale University. Marvin Chun, Dean of Yale College. Sharon M.K. Kugler, Yale University Chaplain.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Chaplain Kugler will now deliver the invocation.
Almighty and gracious God, it is you who are all-powerful and loving. It is you who calls us to our full humanity. Today, may we feel thoroughly embraced by your presence as we accept a new and daunting responsibility. We understand this commissioning as both blessing and burden. Walk with us as we seek to be light in the darkness, striving to be generous, merciful, and just. Enable us to act morally and with boldness, to defend and foster the equality of a person, the hopes of a people, the justice of the ages. Merciful God, as we begin our lives as leaders in this time fraught with uncertainty, bestow upon us the spirit of wise judgment and courage, the spirit of good counsel and strength, the spirit of patient knowledge and reverence. Eternal God, may our greatest triumphs always be discovered as we walk in your light. As your beloved children from many families of faith, may we be ever inspired by the spirit of service we witness on this day and all days. For this we say, Amen.
Please be seated. At this time, I'd like to welcome Captain Withrow, Commanding Officer of Naval ROTC at Yale University.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Chaplain Kugler, for your kind and thought-provoking invocation. You've certainly set the stage for what is sure to be a dignified event. And wow, it certainly is a beautiful day outside, isn't it? It's great that there's a little bit of a breeze here. Welcome, everyone, both in person and in simulcast land out there. A special welcome to President Salovey, Provost Strobel, Dean Chun, Secretary and Vice President Goff Cruz. Thank you for allowing us to host this in-person event. We really appreciate this. Also, welcome to the deans and the heads of college, also Dean Levesque and Dean Sodi as well. And also thank you for your incredible support to our ROTC programs over the course of the past year and the many years previous. I'd also like to extend a welcome to the members of the Yale Veterans Association. Thank you for all that you have done for our midshipmen and cadets as well. To the staffs of the Naval and Air Force ROTCs, commissioning marks the culmination of years of your hard work fulfilling our mission to train and develop these midshipmen and cadets into military officers. So well done. I also wanted to say welcome to retired Rear Admiral Joe Callow and his wife, retired Captain Sally McElreath Callow. They're watching from afar in New York City. Admiral Callow is Yale Naval ROTC class of 1958. He's also a benefactor to Naval ROTC unit. In fact, their gracious endowment, in small part, was used to purchase commissioning kits for each of the midshipmen, definitely alleviating some of the financial burden of initial uniform outlays. So thank you, Admiral and Sally. And saving the best for last, a special welcome to the parents and loved ones of our midshipmen and cadets who are watching from afar, maybe from across the plaza back there, I believe. So another round of applause. So, what do I say to an intrepid group of incredibly talented and spirited men and women about to embark on their careers in our nation's Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, and Space Force? Simply this: you are ready, now get to work. Now, this is not the end of my remarks. Still got a couple of pages to go here, so of course I'm going to expound a bit. Your entire life, you have been developing your personal virtues and leadership traits. You have your parents, coaches, teachers, ROTC staff, religious leaders, amongst others, to thank for that. But you should also enjoy personal satisfaction knowing your perseverance, creativity, thirst for knowledge are also significant factors in you sitting here today. It's taken a lot of hard work to get to this point, the starting point of your military careers. And it will take a lot more hard work on your part and on the part of the teams you will lead. And midshipmen, I checked the latest revision to U.S. Navy regulations before I came here. I didn't see any prohibition against hard work, so hard work is still authorized. Hard work is authorized, but so is smart work. You're all well aware of this after having navigated the past year plus. We live in an era of revisionist powers challenging our role as a democratic leader and defender of freedom and democracy around the world, challenging our security interests and those of our allies, and seeking to consume weaker nations. This requires our military to be strong and smart. You must be strong and smart. In 1630, John Winthrop, leading Puritan, figure and first governor of the Massachusetts Bay Colony, spoke of Massachusetts and its early settlers as a city on the hill, a shining example to the world. His clarion call has continued to define our nation, but ours is a tenuous position, requiring the resolve and commitment of our people, our elected officials, and our nation's military, when called upon, to deter those who wish ill upon us, our allies, and our shared interest, and when necessary, to confront them. You midshipmen have learned of the critical role sea power and maritime strategy plays in the defense of our city on the hill, our nation, the ideals we hold dear, and our allies. You have been introduced to the critical role of joint teamwork with our fellow services such as the Air Force and Space Force, and with our partner nations. Sea power requires people power and strong leadership, your leadership. So today, in about 30 minutes, you will recite the oath of office, swearing loyalty to our Constitution and the country whose course it directs. Then, donning the cloth of our nation, and with sea bag in hand, you will embark on the journey of a lifetime as a naval officer. I rest easy knowing you are taking the helm because I know you are ready and because I know you will continue to work hard and smartly. To our midshipmen, and this is the last time that I will refer to you as midshipmen, I know I speak on behalf of the staff of Naval ROTC when I say I'm incredibly proud of your achievements and greatly look forward to watching from ashore as you cast off all lines and get underway. You are an extremely talented and promising group of leaders, warriors, with certainly a few budding admirals and generals in the mix, I'm sure. So, Mohammed, Valente, Kay, Bella, Sophia, Charlie, and Jacob, and you too, Allegra, in short order, welcome to the officers' mess and the wardroom. Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to welcome Colonel Granholm, Commander of Air Force ROTC at Yale University.
Thanks, Cadet Ruggleset. Thank you, Cadet Ruggleset. So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today is indeed a special day for our graduates, both for the journeys that they are about to take and for the obstacles they have overcome over the past 4 years. I think we can all agree that this year has been unlike any other in the history of ROTC at Yale. It's been a year of immense challenges and personal loss for many of us here in the audience. We have lost family and friends and family members. We have faced financial and professional disruptions, and we have struggled to maintain personal connections via Zoom while sequestered away from each other for over a year now. Yet, with all that we have faced, I think it is even more important for us to come together today and celebrate this momentous occasion as the members of the ROTC class of 21 affirm their willingness to support and defend our country as commissioned officers. I'd like to first acknowledge the incredible support that we receive from the Yale community, demonstrated by the presence of our distinguished guests today. President Salovey, thank you for your personal engagement on behalf of our cadets. Provost Strobel, Secretary Goff Cruz, and Chaplain Kugler, I greatly appreciate your presence here today and your support of our ROTC program. Dean Chun, thank you for helping our students through the many challenges they have faced this year and for expediting numerous special requests for essential military training. Thank you to the deans and heads of colleges who have joined us today for your patience in dealing with arcane military paperwork and for the personal care and concern that you have shown for your students. Thank you also to Adrian, Henry, and Sean, representing the Yale Veterans Association and the Yale Veterans Network, for all of the support you have given our cadets, financial and otherwise. I'd also like to recognize our ROTC liaisons, George Levesque and Risa Sodi, who not only have been forced to learn Air Force and Navy lingo and acronyms, but who also work tirelessly to advocate on our behalf with the larger Yale community. Along with the Air Force and Navy cadre who made the ceremony possible today, I'd like to especially highlight our two planning leads, Cadet Ann Northrup and Cadet Molly Roggelstedt. I think we can all agree that they deserve the most credit of anyone in making this ceremony possible. Thank you for volunteering. And to all of you joining us via the live stream, including the friends and families of our graduating cadets and midshipmen, welcome. So to our Air Force ROTC class of 2021, you are about to take the next step on a journey shared by men and women in uniform since the Continental Army was established in 1775. An army which included students who stood just steps away from here on their commencement day 2.5 centuries ago. You have all heard me say, probably a few times, that ROTC is first and foremost a leadership program. That regardless of what job you are going to do in the Air Force or Space Force, you will all be leading our airmen and guardians in accomplishing your assigned mission. Fortunately for those airmen and guardians, we have an incredible group of leaders in the class of 21. Your leadership is what allowed our cadet wing to overcome the countless challenges we faced this year, to create an entirely new hybrid training program at a few weeks' notice, and to do it all with a positive attitude and can-do spirit. You have innovated, you have raised the intensity when necessary, and you have shown our first and second year cadets how to lead. But what I am most grateful for is the care and concern you have demonstrated for your fellow cadets. You have internalized the most important attribute you will need as a military leader, putting the needs of the team above your own. Almost 105 years ago, 12 Yale students founded the Yale Aero Club, which later formed the nucleus of the 1st Yale unit. When they took their oaths on March 24th, 1917, at the Naval Submarine Base in New London, they probably could not imagine that their service would bring them to the battlefields of Belgium and France in under a year. I know that when I was commissioned in 1998, I would not have predicted that a little over 3 years later, the United States would embark on the longest war in our history, a war for which I and most of our cadre members here today have deployed multiple times, as well as some of the veterans with the YVA and YVN. For all of you about to join our nation's officer corps today, I do not know where and how you will serve, or if your service will lead you into combat. What I do know, after spending the past year with you, is that I am confident you will serve with honor and distinction, and will lead our Air Force and Space Force through whatever challenges we face in the years to come. I congratulate each of you, and I thank you for the spirit of service on behalf of our great nation. It is now my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Peter Salovey, 23rd President of Yale University and the Chris Argyris Professor of Psychology. It is entirely fitting that President Salovey is our guest of honor today. His groundbreaking work with John D. Mayer on emotional intelligence is used widely across the Department of Defense and is now an integral part of how the Air Force trains our future leaders. President Salovey has been a strong supporter of the ROTC program at Yale, and going back to his time as an intern at the West Haven VA Medical Center, he truly understands issues facing our veterans and active duty military members. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, President Salovey.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's truly an honor to be here to congratulate the class of 2021 of the Yale Reserve Officers Training Corps. And thank you, Colonel Granholm and Captain Withrow, for inviting me to do so. To all the families and friends and loved ones watching via live stream, you're very close to our hearts. On behalf of my wife, Marta, and my colleagues across the university, thank you for all you have done to support these cadets, our graduates. And finally, to the ROTC class of 2021, thank you for your commitment to Yale, to the United States, to the common good. We're proud of all you've accomplished at this university. But even more, we are grateful for your service. Soon you will not only graduate from Yale, but also receive your commissions into the United States Armed Forces. You will affirm your allegiance to the Constitution of the United States of America and pledge to defend our democracy. You take on this responsibility at a critical moment in our nation's history. The COVID-19 pandemic continues to claim lives around the world. The geopolitical effects of this crisis will be felt for years to come. And we face other challenges: extremism, sectarian violence, environmental catastrophe, poverty. And yet, in spite of these and other serious threats, I'm encouraged by what I see. Talented, promising, courageous men and women. You've worked hard at Yale, in your classes, in your ROTC training. You've made personal sacrifices in the service of a larger goal: to make our nation and our world safer and more secure. You have done this not just for yourselves, in fact, not for yourselves, but for others. Not only for the present, but for future generations. Although you have chosen a difficult path, you do not go at it alone. You join a great legacy of military service at this university. You go in the footsteps of Nathan Hale, Yale College class of 1773, and Revolutionary War hero, and of Cortlandt Van Rensselaer Creed, the first African-American to earn his medical degree from Yale. Creed graduated in 1857 and joined the Union Army as soon as he was permitted to enlist. You go in the footsteps of Rear Admiral Grace Hopper, who earned her PhD at Yale. When she retired from the Navy at the age of 79, Amazing Grace was the oldest serving officer in the U.S. Armed Forces. And you tread the path walked by many others whose names are not familiar to us. Nearly 30,000 Yale graduates served in the First and Second World Wars in Korea and Vietnam. Others have fought in recent wars and serve around the globe today. Your service honors those who have made the ultimate sacrifice in defense of this country. The names of over 1,000 Yale alumni killed in wars since the American Revolution are carved into the walls of Memorial Hall, right over there. The freedoms we hold dear, the prosperity we enjoy, were made possible by previous generations of military service people. I know your decision to accept a commission in the United States Armed Forces has not been made lightly. You've already given up many comforts and conveniences, and you will give up many more in the years ahead. Thank you. Thank you for showing us by your example what it looks like to make sacrifices for the common good. Today, as we recognize your achievements, we also mark another important milestone. 10 years ago, Yale College voted to restore the ROTC to Yale. I'm very proud of this decision. It is only right that a university with such a rich history of service should welcome the ROTC on our campus. And over the past decade, we have worked with our military partners to prioritize the Yale ROTC program and expand support and opportunities for veterans. Each cadet contributes to this community. You bring distinctive perspectives and experiences to our campus. You challenge and inspire your fellow students, faculty, and staff. The ROTC's presence brings great honor to Yale, but its importance is much broader. The partnership between universities and the military serves the country's long-term strategic interests. Both Yale and the U.S. military prepare leaders for the great challenges ahead. Yale will continue to advocate for funding and support for the ROTC as we educate students for careers in every sector, including the military. Today, I join with so many others in applauding your commitment and your courage. You leave here taking what you have learned at Yale and sharing it with a world in great need of light and truth. Thank you all for what you have done. Thank you all for what you will do to fulfill Yale's mission to improve the world today and for future generations. Congratulations, Yale ROTC class of 2021.
Thank you, President Salovey. We sincerely appreciate you being with us today. Cadets and midshipmen, please take your places on the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, we have now come to the part of the ceremony for which these midshipmen and cadets have worked for over the past 4 years, the oath of office. Would everyone please rise as the oath of office is administered to those being commissioned as officers in the Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, and Space Force. Second lieutenants and ensigns will pin on their new ranks in private ceremonies with friends and family. Thank you all for commemorating this occasion. Please be seated. Captain Withrow, Colonel Granholm, and President Salovey will now present the commissioning certificates to the new ensigns and second lieutenants. Adrian Bonenberger, the president of the Yale Veterans Association, will present a pin to each of the new officers. Please hold your applause until the end. Ensign Jacob Dean Asher. Ensign Asher is from Coronado, California, and has graduated with a degree in economics from Yale University. Ensign Asher will serve as a student naval aviator at Naval Air Station, Pensacola, Florida. Ensign Isabella Marie Bach. Ensign Bach is from Herndon, Virginia, and has graduated with degrees in English and Russian from Yale University. Ensign Bach will serve as a submarine warfare officer at Nuclear Power Training Command in Charleston, South Carolina. Ensign Sophia Ava Bleak. Ensign Bleak is from Vernon, Connecticut, and has graduated with a degree in psychology from Yale University. Ensign Bleak will serve as a surface warfare officer aboard the USS Dewey, homeported in Yokosuka, Japan. Ensign Charles Paul Markert. Ensign Markert is from Portsmouth, Rhode Island, and has graduated with degrees in mechanical engineering and history from Yale University. Ensign Markert will serve as a student naval aviator at Naval Air Station, Pensacola, Florida. Second Lieutenant Valente Hernandez Bautista. Second Lieutenant Hernandez Bautista is from Houma, Louisiana, and has graduated with a degree in political science from Yale University. Second Lieutenant Hernandez Bautista will attend the basic school at Marine Corps Base, Quantico, Virginia. Second Lieutenant Kay Lee. Second Lieutenant Lee is from Westborough, Massachusetts, and has graduated with degrees in global affairs and applied mathematics from Yale University. Second Lieutenant Lee will attend the basic school at Marine Corps Base, Quantico, Virginia. Second Lieutenant Mohammed Makhmudov. Second Lieutenant Makhmudov is from Lilburn, Georgia, and has graduated with a degree in global affairs from Yale University. Second Lieutenant Makhmudov will attend the basic school at Marine Corps Base, Quantico, Virginia. Staff Sergeant Allegra Pankratz. Staff Sergeant Pankratz is from Wichita, Kansas, and has graduated with a degree in global affairs from Yale University. Staff Sergeant Pankratz will commission as a second lieutenant this summer and will attend the basic school at Marine Corps Base, Quantico, Virginia. Staff Sergeant Pankratz has been designated the Distinguished Midshipman Graduate for Yale University and ROTC. Second Lieutenant Fiona Eileen Asbury. Lieutenant Asbury is from Potomac, Maryland, and has graduated with degrees in East Asian Studies and Economics from Yale University. Lieutenant Asbury will serve as a Gold Bar recruiter at a location to be determined, following which she will serve as a Space Intelligence Officer at Goodfellow Air Force Base, Texas. Lieutenant Asbury has been designated as an Air Force ROTC Distinguished Graduate, a distinction earned by the top 10% of cadets across the ROTC enterprise. Second Lieutenant Joshua Charles Beasley. Lieutenant Beasley is from Herndon, Virginia, and has graduated with a degree in computer science from Yale University. Lieutenant Beasley will serve as a Space Acquisitions Officer at Los Angeles Air Force Base, California. Second Lieutenant Lauren Ashley Erhard. Lieutenant Erhard is from Port Jefferson Station, New York, and has graduated with a degree in criminal justice from the University of New Haven. Lieutenant Erhard will serve as a security forces officer at Malmstrom Air Force Base, Montana. Lieutenant Erhard has been designated an Air Force ROTC Distinguished Graduate, a distinction earned by the top 10% of cadets across the ROTC enterprise. Second Lieutenant Patrick Harris Hurl. Lieutenant Hurl is from Plainville, Connecticut, and has graduated with a Juris Doctor degree from Quinnipiac University School of Law. Lieutenant Hurl will serve as a Judge Advocate General at Maxwell Air Force Base, Alabama. Second Lieutenant Cheyenne Combs Olmsted. Lieutenant Olmsted is from Wolcott, Connecticut, and has graduated with a degree in National Security Studies from the University of New Haven. Lieutenant Olmsted will serve as an intelligence officer at Goodfellow Air Force Base, Texas. Second Lieutenant Tanner John Tavritsky. Lieutenant Tavritsky is from Phoenix, Arizona, and has graduated with a degree in electrical engineering from Yale University. Lieutenant Tavritsky will serve as a pilot trainee at a location to be determined. Second Lieutenant Tyler Alexander Tavritsky. Lieutenant Tavritsky is from Phoenix, Arizona, and has graduated with a degree in mechanical engineering and physics from Yale University. Lieutenant Tavritsky will serve as a Space Force developmental engineer at Los Angeles Air Force Base, California. Second Lieutenant Michael James English Whalen. Lieutenant Whalen is from New York City, New York, and Rome, Italy, and has graduated with a degree in applied physics from Yale University. Lieutenant Whalen will serve as a special tactics officer at Lackland Air Force Base, Texas. Ensigns and Lieutenants, please rise to be recognized. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the newest second lieutenants and ensigns of our United States Armed Forces. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the playing of the Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, and Space Force service songs. This concludes the 2021 Joint Military Commissioning Ceremony. To our honored guests, cadre, cadets, and veterans, we wish you fair winds, following seas, and blue skies always.